Alright, in this VTM here, what we're going to be doing is taking a look at how we can go about modeling this Jeep as you see in the viewport right now. Now check out those ultra groovy image planes back there.
Ooh.
Those were done by the super sexy Derek Stevens. That would be Derek. Derek will be co-piloting on this VTM right here. As a matter of fact, Joel Van Inwick is going to be doing all of the actual modeling. Say hi, Joel.
Hey.
All right. Now, this is the first in a series of VTMs that's aimed at teaching you how to construct a vehicle from start to finish. We're going to start out inside of Maya. We're going to model it. We're going to get everything in place. Then in another VTM, we're going to show you how to rig it up, or how to put all the joints in it, how to get it skinned, and then finally over into the Unreal Ed environment. Once over inside of Unreal, then we'll show you the code that's required to make it completely functional inside the game. So we've got quite a bit of stuff to look at. This VTM's primary focus is going to be just modeling. And we are going to be expecting that they've got some sort of experience with modeling, aren't we there, Mr. Joel?
Yes, we are.
So we're not going to stop and go over every single tool and how the tools work.
This is an extrusion.
Yeah, basically we're just going to get in there and get it going. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn this on over to Joel and Derek and let you guys get it rocking. Take it away.
Alright, in this lesson, what we're going to do is rough out the basic shape of our vehicle.
Right.
So let's go ahead and start by putting a cube down on our scene. Of course, we have to start out with a cube. It just wouldn't be right, would it, Derek?
Would not be right, not at all. What we're doing, essentially, like you said, we're recognizing shapes, and we're going to mold this cube into some pretty neat shapes.
That's a fact. So let's kind of just, as Derek was telling all of us, we should rough out the shape in the side view and the top view. Just something like that.
Right.
And let's just move this over just a little bit. Move this down a little bit. Try not to be picky.
We're recognizing the volume of the entire car from the front to the back.
Right. And if we look over here, we have subdivision width, height, and depth. With the detail we have now, we can't get much detail at all.
No, none.
So what we can do is go into here and let's increase our width to 2 for now.
Right.
So that we can delete this one side in a second and have it instanced over. We'll see that in a sec. And our depth, height we can leave the same. Depth, let's change this to about 14.
14 sounds good. Is that like a magic number, or is...
Well, actually, let's just do 13. Basically, it's just trial and error. I mean, you look at your model. I mean, you can give a pretty rough estimate of how much you want, but, I mean, you just have to test. So we can go in here. Of course, we could just take the approach of extruding from a cube and then finding out how much detail we need, but this is kind of just what we decided to do.
I like this method of madness.
Yes,
so
it is. It is useful. So we can go into our vertex mode and kind of just start roughing it out. So let's move this vertex down a little bit. Take these two vertices, this vertex, move him down, and let's see, something like that.
Maya's fantastic. I mean, you can see in the side view what's going on as well as in the perspective view.
Right.
And each viewport updates automatically.
Right. It's very, very cool and important. So if we're kind of just putting all of these vertices into the right positions where there's major changes in the geometry. So just keeping that in mind. This may seem like a lot of detail to add at the very beginning, but you will find its importance very shortly. So,
well, we want a good foundation. We want this basic shape. If you nail the basic shape, you can start putting lots of detail into it later.
Right. So if we do that, something like stretch that down a little bit. We can take this one, vertices right here, move him up. Now we can move these two vertices over a little bit, and just a little bit of a rougher shape.
And you can tell at home right now there's a lot of tweaking involved, but that's the nature of the beast when you're a modeler. It's going to take time. There's not a do everything button just yet.
If there was, there would be no modelers.
Exactly.
So that's looking good in the side view. Let's go ahead and go to our top view. But before we start editing in the top view, let's go ahead and go into our faces. Select all the faces on the right side of our vehicle, delete them out, and if we go and select our object and go under Edit, Duplicate, let's reset our settings, and let's change the scale over to -1, which will duplicate it over to the other side. And let's change this to Instant so that when we edit the one side of our geometry, the other side changes along with it.
Instantly updates.
Very, very cool.
Great feedback, instant feedback.
Yes. So if we press duplicate, now it's on the other side, which is very nice. Now we can select this one side of our vehicle and start changing it, and the other side will update. As you can see, the other side is updating. So that's very nice when we're working with something as symmetrical as a car. Or our vehicle here, dune buggy, whatever. So let's move him in. So just marquee selecting all the way inside. It's definitely already taking quite a bit of shape here.
Oh, it is. Excellent. And hardly no time at all.
Right. So we got pretty much the basic shape going on here. Now what we need to do is, we don't have a lot of height data here. What we need to do is, if you see this crease here, how it's shaded in more,
right.
The concept is telling us that we need to have this bottom part sunken in more.
Correct.
Plus, our wheels here, if you look in the side view, this is beveled in. In other words, our wheels have to go somewhere. Right now they would go right through a geometry, and that would be bad.
They're very bad.
So let's go into here, and let's select our split polygon tool. And let's start from the front here. If you look in the side view, I'm kind of dragging, actually editing in the perspective view, but I'm looking down here in the side view, and I'm kind of lining it up with the top of the bumper.
Okay.
And then kind of going across, and you'll see I'm following this contour here as well. So I can continue, move over here, and right about there. And continuing following the contour just a little bit, something like that. We'll be editing these very shortly. So following the contour on the side here.
The important thing people need to understand is, especially in modeling, nothing happens fast. It takes
nothing.
time. Your model's not going to look ace right off.
Right, you're going to have to tweak and tweak and tweak before it finally gets the way you want it to look. So we can continue right to the end here and just finish it off. So right like that. But this one line of detail is not going to give us a whole lot of help, because this is basically our anchor.
Okay.
So let's go into here, turn on our split polygon tool, and start putting another line of detail right underneath our initial line.
Okay, so what you mean by our anchor is that line of detail is going to stay there as an anchor. It's not going to be moving.
Right.
And most likely what you're doing is creating this other line of detail. We'll push that in so we can hold that top contour.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So we can put them all the way to here. And if we move all the way over to here, select our vertex mode, and let's select these vertices and start moving them inside.
Okay.
So if we look in our side view, it's kind of getting a little bit chaotic over here. So what we can do is go to our display, in our custom polygon display. We can go down here where it says backface culling, say apply and close. You notice now we can't see everything that's behind in the wireframe view, so it makes it a lot easier to see. So what we want to do with these two selected, and you'll notice that's right about here, we want these to be inside, way back there. So let's say right about there, and we'll move this bottom vertex up a little bit just to tighten it up. And actually, you know what? I'm selecting the wrong two vertices here. These two right here, that's about right.
So what we're doing right now is we're creating a wheel well?
Right. So we can have this one here. You notice this is way on the top, so we'll put that right there. Here, if we look in the side view and the front view, you'll notice that this guy should be way back.
Over there, yeah.
And we can select him as well. We want him back as well. Right about there. So if you look at that, that's looking pretty good.
Sort of takes shape.
It's definitely starting to take shape. I think I pushed these two a little too far. Maybe down a little bit. Try not to get way too picky here. It's hard. So these two as well, we can select both of them and move them back. So as you said, our wheel well. And right over here, if we go over to this view, we just need we still need an indentation, but a very little indentation. So we can just select all of these and shift marquee will add to the selection. So we can select all of those and just move them back a little bit, kind of save time. Then we can go over to here and select all of these vertices and push them way back for another place to put our wheel. And you know what? We'll select these two and push them back as well, just so that it's a little bit smoother transition. And actually, that's looking pretty good.
Nice, very nice.
So, that's looking good. Another thing, before we kind of end this video, I'll probably say that quite a few times before it's true, but hey, I can't help it. So, right up here, we're going to extrude where the people are going to be sitting, where our characters are going to sit.
The cabs, basically.
Right. So if we look over in the top view here and in our side view, you'll notice that it begins right over here.
Right, because you have to have a place for the feet.
Right. So we can select right there, and let's just select the top view here, and you'll notice that that is about where it should start. Let's move it right to there. So our seat should start right about there. Am I reading this right? Actually, I think we want it to be right. Thinking.
Right about
there. Right. So, if we move this back a little bit just to kind of make the contour a little bit cleaner.
Make it flow.
And we can select our faces. Actually, let's go to the very back to make sure that this is ending correctly. And you'll notice we want it to end, our last line to be here.
Right.
So what we're going to do is come over to our side view, select these, and move them back. And if you look in the top view, actually, this is another good point. Right now, our backface culling is kind of biting us. So let's go into our custom polygon display. And let's just turn this off for now, apply and close, just so we can reselect, selects everything. And if we push this back, should be right about there.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to have to move these vertices down, and this one up just a bit, something like that. So these down a little bit. That's looking a lot better.
A lot better.
So we can select our faces, and let's see, which faces are we going to need? If we look in our top view here, we're going to need way back. Excuse me.
Right there, I think. Yeah.
Actually,
right.
I think we're starting right about there. So if we look in our top view, it's going to start right there.
Awesome.
So we can select him, so many faces, and finally, this one right here. However, you'll notice another problem. Actually, before we do this, almost forgot another important point. If you look at this, we don't seem to have a lot of detail here at all, right across this area here. So before we do anything at all, let's right-click and push select so we can go back into basically our object mode.
Well, we just don't want our cab to just be flush.
Right. So what we can do is go into our Cut Faces tool, and we'll cut it all the way down the middle. So right about there. If we look in the back, everything's good. So if we press Q to go back into our selection mode, and you'll notice another thing, I accidentally seem to have moved all of these vertices way over, so we'll move them back.
It happens.
It does happen.
Backface culling is a very powerful tool, but needs to be done, used respectively.
That's a fact. So we can move these out a little bit, and basically we can take our bottom view here and deselect all the vertices on our bottom, and we want to move all of these top vertices across to, if you look in the top view here, basically our cabin size. So right about like that. Now we can go in, select our faces, and start actually selecting our faces. So we select all of these all the way back to there. If you look in our front view and our top view, that fits very nicely.
Very nice.
If we extrude, change this to global, and if we push down right about there, if we look in our side view here, we don't want it to be going below the
cab.
Yeah, below the cab. So up a little bit. That's looking pretty good. So I'm liking the looks of that. There's there's faces here that we don't need though, so let's go back into our faces mode. Actually, we already are, and select all of the faces in the middle and press delete. So that's looking really, really good. We seem to have a little problem here, so let's go back into our vertex mode and move him back a little bit so that we didn't have that little problem going on. If we zoom in a little bit, let's kind of make this a little bit better looking. Not what I was thinking. Deselect him and select these guys and move them back, something like that. And our bumper is going to be separate here, so let's kind of move this inside a little bit, something like that. Now we can actually extrude our bumper, which will be very cool. So that's looking really good. Now what we can do is, just as a little tip, you'll notice that sometimes, as we did just a second ago, accidentally move some of our vertices off our central line.
Right.
So if we go and delete our instance, go back into our object mode, delete our instance, if we go under polygons and say mirror geometry, it'll put it to the other side, but if you notice,
look at that seam.
Yeah, not a good thing. So if we undo that, what we can do to alleviate this problem is go back to vertex mode and go to our top view. We'll maximize that by just pressing space, and we'll select all of the vertices on that central axis where we're going to be mirroring our object across, and go into our object tools, and you'll notice that we need the move to be in world, and retain component spacing needs to be off. And if we do that, we can hold down X, which is
grid snap.
Right, and if we press the middle mouse button and do a little nudge, something happens if we do not restrain it to the X-axis.
Good point.
So if we I did it again. So let's go into our front view here. Select our axis, and now you can see we're moving across, and when we snap, now all of the vertices are on the central axis. So now we ensure that everything is going to line up fine.
So now when we mirror it over.
So now when we go into our polygons and actually mirror it over, it looks very nice. So something to keep in mind. So we can undo that, and let's go ahead and just, before we call this to a close, we can duplicate that over so we have our instance. So with that kind of does wrap up this lesson.
All right, good job.
Alright, so we have our basic roughed out geometry.
Right.
Now we can go ahead and add the bars to our vehicle.
I love the bars.
Yeah, they're very cool.
Buggies, they're very utilitarian as well. They help protect you in rolling and such.
Yes, they do. So let's go ahead and create a cylinder. That's what it's going to be separate from the rest of our vehicle, which is fine. If we press space, we can go to our side view here. Let's move our cylinder up to the rough area of our front bar here. Let's rotate this, something like that. Let's go under our input node, and let's change the radius down, something like that. And I think we have way too many subdivision caps, so let's turn this down to about 6, which is pretty good.
That's good. It's enough detail.
Plenty of detail. And we can select our vertices, and let's just move these up a little bit and scale it out just a little bit. Now if we select this and go to our front view, you'll notice it's not quite lining up, so what we can do is on our x-axis, just move this over. Now that's lining up really nice. And let's see. Now we can go in here and select our faces. And now we can just extrude the rest of this bar out. So we can go into here and press extrude, which is going to extrude our faces. Let's go out a little bit. Let's just rotate, something like that. Press G to do the tool again. And let's rotate, something like that. Let's press G. Think you get the idea?
Think so.
Think so. So if we press G again, basically we're just increasing the size. And then we extrude again, pull this out. You notice we get this nice little crease in our bars here, which is kind of cool.
A pad of some sort, so you don't knock your head.
Right. So we can go into here, kind of rotate this a little bit, and press G again, and we go to scale it down. Let's just pull it out a little bit, scale it down to about there. Move it, press G to repeat the tool. What about there? Extrude again, just add a little bit of a nice rotation. And then right about there. Extrude again. And right about like that. So we'll extrude yet again. I know, getting tedious. Pretty easy though.
It needs to be done.
Yes, it does. So let's put it to right about there. Extrude again. This may seem like a lot of detail, but our vehicle, our dune buggy, isn't that complicated. So we pretty much have free reign to add as much detail as we want because we're looking at a 3,000 to 4,000 poly vehicle,
model,
right? So if we move this, actually, let's press G and let's extrude this out. Let's just push this into the geometry a little bit, something like that, just to have it line up. You notice it kind of extrudes out a little bit. That's because we're not following the image planes very well on our vehicle. So let's go back to our vertex mode and move these vertices around a bit. So this one right here, just move it up. And along with this one, let's just move it out a little bit. he's definitely going way too far in, so let's kind of just push it down. So now he's inside. So that's looking really, really cool.
Very nice.
Of course, we are having a little bit of problem here, pushing way too far out. And that's a bad thing for sure.
Right.
So let's select our vehicle, and let's do this. Let's go ahead and maximize our top view here, and let's select all of these on the side, right here. And if we go to our side view, you notice we selected all these bottom verts as well. We don't need them, so let's just deselect all of them. Make sure everything's deselected. And if we go to our view again, we can move these in.
Just ever so slightly.
Ever so slightly, just so that we're not getting any penetration.
Because I wouldn't want to buy a Jeep.
No.
If something was like that. I mean,
no.
Some serious body work needed to be done there.
That's a fact. So we can go into here, and for this this last bar here, we'll create another cylinder. So we can create a cylinder. And modeling is kind of an organic process, so if you find little errors in your modeling, I mean, feel free to go back, change it a little bit, and so forth and so on.
Again, that's the nature of the beast for modeling.
Exactly. So we can change the axes to 6 again. Go ahead and select our radius. No, not that small. About like that. And let's kind of push it in quite a bit. Go into our vertices, select our vertices, move them out, select our faces. We'll select all of these faces. And now we use our extrude face tool again. And we extrude out, something like that. Extrude down. Make sure it's... If we extrude out, we can make sure that we're extruding to the right size, something like that. Extrude one final time, and just kind of push that into the tube. And of course, it's not lined up at all, but we can go into our side view, and our front view, and move it over. Exactly. So, lining up really, really nice there. Now what we can do is select these. So we go back to object mode, select both of our bars that we have currently, Control G, so that puts the pivot at the origin.
Right.
We'll name these left bar group. And what we're going to do is go to Edit, down to Duplicate, change it over to Copy, and we already have the scale set to -1. You press Duplicate, and it duplicates it over to the other side.
Man, this is coming to life.
Yes, it definitely
very,
is.
Very good.
So we can change our left bar group 1 to right bar group. And let's go over to here, and you'll notice if we look in our front view here, we have bars that go across. So it's kind of important for that to be right as well. So let's go ahead and create another cylinder, and of course it's created at the origin. Let's move this up, and if we move this down, let's just rotate it 90 degrees.
Good idea.
And under our poly cylinder, we'll change the subdivisions to 6, as we did before. Select our radius, and let's just move it down to about something like that.
Okay.
And if we move this up, you notice that these two lines here are what they're defining how big our radius is supposed to be. So I think we need to kind of put it down just a little bit, something like that, which seems kind of small, but if you look in the actual viewport, it's not that small at all. So right about like that. And let's do this. Let's just get our scale tool out, and we'll just stretch this out until it goes inside of the object, and you can see that's looking really, really nice.
Okay.
And let's see, one final thing is we have another bar here. We can just Shift D to duplicate that object, move it up a little bit, and move it over. So right about to there, and you'll notice we have a nice little bar system going on. You will notice, however, that in our front view, the bars right here are a little bit too big. So let's go ahead and go into our vertex mode, and let's select these vertices right here. Select with Shift, and we select, and get out our scale tool and scale down just a little bit. Actually, let's just scale in that direction right here, because it is lining up quite well on this axis. So that's looking a whole lot better. You'll notice that we still need to change this side, so let's select it. Press up to select the whole group, delete it out, up, Control D, and it duplicates it over to the other side.
Nice.
So that basically covers how to create our bars for our vehicle. So with that kind of wraps up this lesson. Thanks, everyone.
Job.
Alright, in this lesson, what we're going to do is add some more detail to our vehicle.
Cool.
So let's jump right in, and let's go over to here, switch into vertex mode, and let's jump down over to here, select these 3 verts here, make sure all is good, and you'll notice that the bumper goes to about right here, so we can just pull these out to right about there. And let's select these 3 as well, push these out, just so that we can add a little beveling action, if you will. So we can take these 3 verts again, and push them back a little bit, so it kind of rounds it out just a bit. If we look in the side view here, it lines up with the side.
Good call.
So if we go to the side here and select some more, and just push it out a little bit more. Don't want quite so much extrusion going on. And let's push this down. So that's looking pretty good. Let's just push this back a little bit more. So that's looking pretty good. Now what we need to do is, actually, one last thing. Let's pull this down as well, just to kind of smooth it out a little bit. And you know what? Pull these 2. I know, it's just tweaking.
Well, let's address something, too, because it did alarm me when I seen that the big hole.
This big hole that seems to be here.
Right, it seems to be there, but...
Right, it's not really there. It's just a drawing thing.
Right.
So,
I don't want people to worry about there and say...
Yes, they don't have to worry. So let's go over to here and select these 2 faces, and let's use the extrude tool, and let's extrude out something like that. If we look in the side view here, you can tell what we're looking at. And let's scale down just a little bit. Let's switch back to vertex mode. Let's select these, and let's pull all of these up so that we can get the right detail in. So that's looking pretty good. And let's take these 2 vertices and push these up. Looking good. Take these 2. Again, we're always looking in the 2 side views to make sure everything is lining up the way they should be. And let's take these 3 again, just kind of pull them in a little bit more, because we don't actually, if you notice, we accidentally got one of the wrong verts there, so let's pull that out. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. Now let's pull this out just a little bit. Now we can work on the hood that we have here.
Okay.
So let's take these 3, and let's pull these out a little bit, and we seemingly need a few more levels of detail here so that we can actually have the amount of detail we need, because if you look here, what we want is for there to be a line here, a line here, a line here, a line here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines that we're going to need. Right now we only have 3, so we're going to have to add quite a bit more detail to make this work out. So let's take all of this, let's push it forward, matching the line here, and you'll notice what we need is a line right across there. So let's right click and press select. Let's go to our cut faces tool, and let's add a cut right there. So that's the cut, one of the cuts we need. We need one there, and we need one final one. Actually, let's look at that for a second. Yeah, that's all good. One final one here, and life is good. So let's press Q to select, put the select tool, and let's go back to vertex mode. Actually, let's go to faces mode, excuse me. And let's select all of these faces right here. And let's press the scale tool, and if we scale in the Y direction, you'll notice it's flattening them all out. Now we can pull this down a little bit.
Nice trick.
Yes, very cool. If you look in the side here, what we want is for the bottommost one to be, we want the lines to match up in the side as well. We can do that if we switch over to edge mode, and we can take this first edge here, that's right here, and we can pull him all the way down. We can take the second edge, pull him to the second one, third edge, pull him up a little bit. This last one, we're going to pull him all the way up.
Gives it a really nice manta ray almost effect.
Yes, very interesting. And pull this one. This one's going to be at the same level as the rest. As you can see, that's it. We're just going to that edge right there. So the first thing we're going to do is kind of just, based on the image planes, we can kind of just push this up a little bit. Now what we can do is take all of these faces that we just worked with, let's take all of these faces up to there, and take out the extrude tool, switch to global mode, and let's just extrude down and scale in a little bit, just to give it sort of a beveled effect.
Okay, good idea.
And put it in. You'll notice we have some extra faces there. We'll get rid of those in just a minute. If we right like that. And then let's go back to our selection. Actually, let's go back to our faces. And let's take all of these faces that we just created that we don't need and delete all of them out. And you'll notice we still have some over here. That's all good. If we go to display, this is where custom polygon display with our backface culling is kind of biting us just a little bit. So let's turn that off. Now we can select these and delete them, and life is good. So now, let's go ahead and select these faces again. You notice they kind of bevel out a little bit, you know? So what we can do is select these, go to our polygons, go to our tool options, and turn off keep faces together. Turn on our global option, our extrude tool again. Let's push these out a little bit, use our scale, and just kind of pull in just a little bit, and then push them in so they line up on the side. So that's looking kind of cool.
Good call. Very nice.
So, as you can see, it's looking actually kind of interesting. So another thing we're going to do is go to the back, and we seem to need a bumper in the back as well.
But we want to turn our faces back on, keep them together, right?
Right, that is a very good point. So let's do that before we forget.
Yeah, I just don't want anyone to forget.
Right.
It's bit me in the bottom quite a few times.
Yes, it has, I believe.
Yeah, it hurts. I needed a shot afterwards.
No, I believe it. So let's switch on keep faces together. And let's select this, and we got our faces. Actually, let's delete these in our top view, some of the faces that we had left over.
Right.
So delete those, and now let's kind of focus on getting the bumper to look a lot better. So let's switch our top view over to the bumper. And let's first switch to our vertex mode and try to clean this up first just a little bit. This guy can move up a little bit. These three verts here can move down. And we can kind of work with some of these directly. So we can move him over a little bit. Him we can move down. And this is just looking at the image plane, kind of matching it up as best you can. And we have quite a bit of detail in here, so it gets kind of confusing, actually. So let's move all of him down.
Again, that's why we're looking at all four panels, because there is a lot of detail there, and if you start messing about and something happens wrong, it takes a long time to fix. You know the old adage, when you're building something with wood, measure measure twice, cut once?
Yes.
Make sure you look at all four panels.
Right, that's a fact. And you'll notice we do have some of these verts right here. It's kind of biting us, and you'll notice the reason for these is our end tail here. So let's kind of pull him in a little bit, and let's scale him in, and just push him down a little bit. He doesn't need to go quite so far, kind of getting in our way.
Right.
And let's go over to our side view again, and let's pull these guys out just a little bit more. Actually, you know what? Let's just pull this one out. That kind of looks nice.
It does.
And let's take these, pull them down so they all line up. And last but not least, we'll take these guys, put them in the center a little bit just to even it up. Something like that. Now let's go to our face mode, and let's select these three faces right here. Go to our extrude faces, and extrude our wonderful bumper out.
Awesome.
So as you can see in the side view here, it's pretty much lined up. It's going to still need some work. So let's get our face selection, our vert selection, and let's move this around quite a bit. So as you can see, it actually goes back quite a bit. And let's move this back a little bit. Now don't let this confuse you. This is the gun, the turret that we're going to be putting on, so don't let that distract you. And let's see, push this up a little bit.
Nice.
It's looking a lot better. And let's kind of just push this out as well. So that's looking a whole lot better. And let's see. That about adds most of the detail that we need for the bumper. Another thing that we should do, this is maybe pushed in a little bit too far as well. Yeah, maybe.
All right.
So, but you'll notice we have this little crease right here, which is kind of cool. And I think we should go ahead and add that as well. So what we can do is we can select all of these verts here. And let's push them. Let's actually rotate them. And rotate them right around like that.
Very good call. Nice trick.
And let's move these down a little bit. Let's move him across as well.
Again, we're conforming our geometry to the shapes that are in our image planes.
Right. So let's try to move him across as well. Just try to meet the actual image planes and the contour. So pull that in as well. Now what we can do is we're going to have to bring out our split polygon tool again. let's go down here. Let's start from here. And again, looking down here as well at the same time.
Right.
And let's start just cutting this out. So something like that.
Because we're creating like a panel. The way I designed this area right through here is a reinforced crash bars inside that area.
Which is very cool. So we can just cut it like that. And now, you know what, let's bring back our split polygon tool and let's push it out to here and let's go to here as well. So something like that.
Good call.
Now we're going to take our faces and take this face, and this face, and we'll extrude these out. So something like that. Just so we can see all that detail, which is really cool. Now what we can do, this is actually really easy. We just take these two faces. We want to connect them, right? So we can delete this out, go to our vertex mode, then go to our edit polygons after selecting those two vertices. Go to our merge vertices options. We can bump this up to some higher value just to make sure they are connected. Press apply, it connects the two. So that's very nice. Select these two, apply, all is good. And then we can just go into here, select these two, and move them up.
Nice.
And another thing, we don't want this sticking out quite so much, so we can select these two verts, press G, and they merge as well. So, life is good. So let's go to the side here, push this back just a little bit more so it's not beveling out quite so much. Okay, so that's kind of good. And you know what, like I was saying, maybe these should just be pulled in a little bit more. Maybe they're out too far. So, and we kind of selected some detail we didn't want to. And let's pull this out just a little bit. So that's looking kind of nice.
Very nice. And this is moving fast.
Yes, actually it is. It's kind of surprising. So let's select this. Let's make it a little bit sharper. Just kind of tweaking it out a little bit. Kind of playing it by eye. And something like that is looking pretty nice. Let's go over here. And just for good measure, let's move this up as well, just to kind of preserve the contour a little bit more.
Make it nice and sleek.
Right. And sometimes, you know, you don't have to go entirely according to your image planes, as long as you conform as much as possible. Just whatever looks good is what's good. Agreed?
Mixed emotions. Watch out there. We got some geometry penetrating out.
Yes, we do have some geometry penetrating here, which is a bad thing indeed. So, let's go into here and make sure that it's in the side view. It is up enough. Now that is looking a lot better, which is
nice, very nice.
So, let's put that up. That's actually looking pretty good. We got our bumper. You know what? Let's switch back to edge mode. Let's just move this out a little bit more. Something like that. That is looking pretty nice. So we got our bumper, we got our little side detail here, and we have our nice little thing going on here. So let's go to the front again, and you notice this is a little not very smooth at all.
No, not
so
yet.
Let's kind of smooth this out a little bit, move it down, suck it in just a little bit, move him in, let's move him in just a little bit. Again, playing it by ear, how it would look good. And let's move these guys up. This is very not looking good at all. So matching the image plane on the side here. I mean, it gets kind of confusing. So let's turn on F5. But you know what? Actually, no. That's still that makes it kind of worse. Yes. Yeah. What we want to do is kind of keep it as simple as possible. So continue to work in this front and perspective view is kind of working pretty well. Selecting a vert and making sure that it lines up right about where it's supposed to be.
And you're right, it is confusing, but that's why we have 4 panels. And in the perspective view, we can find what vertex we want to pick easily, and then match that vert because it does glow yellow in the front view.
Right.
We can move it to its designated coordination or coordinate. There we have it. There you are. I'm one happy man.
All right.
More coffee.
More coffee. Yes, more coffee for all. So let's select these, just kind of tweaking it out some more. Let's see. Looking pretty good. And if we look in the other side, you know what? I'm liking the way that's looking.
Me too.
So actually, I think that's going to wrap up this lesson of adding the detail. In the next lesson, we're still going to be needing to do a few things. We still have the wheels to do, we still have the chair to do, and finally the turn. So, and also some lights that we have, which are kind of cool.
Exactly.
So with that, that's going to wrap up this lesson. So thanks everyone. Alright, in this lesson, what we're going to do is cover how to create the seats inside of our vehicle, along with the little lights that we have in front. It's not a difficult lesson, very easy. So let's go ahead and go inside of here. Excuse me, and we're going to place the lights right up here. So let's create a cylinder, because if you can tell, the lights are cylinders.
Right.
They are indeed.
Without all that detail, though, because we don't need all that detail, right?
No, we do not. What we're going to do is kind of scale this down first. And you know what? Let's just go into here.
Input node.
And the input node, right? And let's turn this down considerably, about 6. Okay?
Okay.
So something like that. And let's go into our front view here and move this over to the side. And put it right about there. You'll notice that, you know what, why don't we go up in here and let's just temporarily go into display, hide, and then hide selection, which is Control H,
okay,
just so we can hide it and then it gets out of the way. Right. So let's go into here and let's move this down just a little bit. Let's stretch it out. As you can see, it's kind of matching our image plane on the side here. And let's right click, select vertex, and let's scale this down until it matches what we have in the image plane. Another thing we can do is go into face, and with the faces selected, again, let's make sure our tool options has keep faces together. Excuse me, and we can go to poly extrude, and let's go into here and kind of extrude out a little bit, scale it down, extrude again, scale it down just a little bit, and let's just pull it in, something like that.
Very nice.
It's kind of simple, but kind of cool looking all at the same time.
It's a nice light feel. I mean, it's a light.
Yeah, so we can go under our outliner, and let's go under our left group here. Let's just go to display, show, and we can show selection, so now we can see it. And let's go back to object mode. We'll go back into our foreview. Let's go back to our light, and let's kind of move this down just a little bit, something like that. So that's looking pretty good. Now let's go ahead and group this together, and we'll call this left light. And let's go up into edit, duplicate, and again,
I just want to say it's really important to name all.
Yes,
all
it is very important.
Or any model.
Any model. And we have copy. We change the scale to -1. We're going to duplicate him over, and there he is, looking nice. So that's looking good. Now we can go ahead and jump down to our lights that are in the front here, which we can see here along with in our top view right here. So what we want to do is take it right here, select faces, and select the face that is closest, which would be this one right here. And what we're going to do is use our extrude face again, change it to global, and let's change our extrude. And again, we can use our Y trick here to flatten it out. So something like that. And we can move it over in the top view to line it up. So we can use our scale tool, kind of put it into a nice position. Something like that. And we can switch over to edge mode to kind of straighten these out as well with the same scaling technique.
That's a brilliant trick.
It's very cool. And let's see. Those are looking good. Everything's looking good. Now we can go ahead and take this and extrude it out. So we can extrude him. Oh, I selected the wrong face. Let's take him, and now let's extrude him. So extrude him out just a little bit. Something like that. And of course we can't see all of it, so we're going to kind of play it by ear as well. But what we can do is extrude this out, something like that. And what we can also do is take these here, all of these, just the front face, extrude him out, and something like that. We can take it, pull it down a little bit, then extrude again, scale it down, and then pull it back.
That extrude tool is very powerful.
Oh, very, very powerful. So something like that. And in the back, just for good measure, you can extrude again, pull out to about there, and kind of tighten it up just a little bit.
Nice.
So if we look at the way that's looking, that's not looking too bad. But you know what? I think it would look even better if we took these and let's select the faces that are inside this little area here. And let's go to here. That's pretty much it. Let's deselect and whoa, not that. Let's deselect. And that's looking good. Now let's take our cut faces tool and let's cut right along here. You'll see why in just a second. If we go to our selection tool and we take our vertex manipulation tool, select those, and you'll see that we can take these, pull them down just a little bit, and what we can do is kind of tighten up so there's a little bit more room. It kind of looks like the light is attached.
Very clever, yeah. Instead of like a block with glue.
Right. It just looks a little bit more, I don't know, creative. So now let's go ahead and, well, actually, what else do we want to add?
We need to add the seats.
Yes, that's a very important thing. So let's go over to here, and let's see. Where are our seats? Right here. So let's go into our face selection, and let's see. We have our face right here. Way too big, but that'll definitely work. Actually, you know what? Right here we have a little bit of a vertex. It's not lining up very well, so let's kind of pull that in a little bit. Now let's go back into our face selection, select our face, poly extrude, or face extrude, excuse me. And if you look in the side view, you can kind of line it up based on that. So I'll move it over a little bit. Definitely want to pull this down, something like that. And of course, we're going to use our side view as well to line this up. So that's kind of looking good. We can extrude that out. This doesn't have to be extremely detailed because this is inside the vehicle. You're not going to be seeing it very much anyway.
And your character will be riding in it. So.
Exactly. So it's not exactly the most important thing in the world. So of course, in our front view, it's also important to make sure.
How about the CD player? Where does it go?
I'm sorry, Derek, but no CD player.
No, okay.
I'm sorry. So let's extrude this out and.
Fuzzy dice?
No fuzzy dice.
Alright.
I know, it's disappointing. But let's pull this up, and you notice it's lining up very nicely in this front view. And we can pull him back just a little bit more. You know, let's also switch over to vertex, and let's pull that out just a little bit. So we're getting some nice chairs going on here. And let's switch back to face mode. And let's pull over to here, switch that on. And let's kind of rotate this around, kind of make it flat. So it lines up here. We can use our extrude tool. And let's extrude. Let's take our scale and move it down a little bit. Put it about right there. Now let's extrude. Extrude. You get the idea. Very simple. Something like that. Then we extrude this guy out. So very simple. Nice. However, this actually could look a little bit better if we took this and maybe moved this forward just a little bit so that matches up in the side view here. And took that, moved it down a little bit. And for good measure, this back face here, we'll move him out a bit as well. And just to make the seats look a little bit more cushioned, we can do something like take these two faces and, again, make sure tool options, keep faces together, kind of driving that home. It's kind of an important point. Take this, scale them down a little bit, push them up a little bit, something like that. Then we can go up to polygons, tool options, turn off keep faces together, reselect these 2 points, go to our poly extrude. Now when we scale down and move up, we get that kind of little cushions going on. It's kind of interesting. So something like that. Maybe even
how about the head?
We could add a little bit more detail to the head as well. So let's go into here.
Just one.
Just one.
Just one. You want to make them comfortable when they're shooting people. Exactly.
So we can go into here, and let's kind of just give it a little bit. We don't want to add too much detail, just for the mere simple fact that it's in a game, but it is good to just add a little bit of detail. You know what? Let's go into here and take this face and pull it out just a little bit more, because it's really not showing it entirely well. Something like that. You know, I can see myself sitting in there, so that's a good thing.
Seatbelts?
Sorry, Derek. No seatbelts either.
Yeah, all right.
I know.
I care about these people.
I know. I see you have great care for them. So, actually, with that, that's going to wrap up this lesson. Just basically the lights that we have here, along with the seats. In this next lesson, we're going to cover how to create the wheels, front and back. And then finally, in the last lesson, we'll cover, well, not the last lesson, but we'll cover how to create the turn in the back here.
Put the gun there.
Put the gun.
Awesome.
It will be awesome.
Dude. Rock on.
So with that wraps up this lesson. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Alright, in this lesson, what we're going to do is show you guys how to create the wheels on our vehicle.
Right.
I mean, it's very, very simple. So all we need to do is go ahead and create a cylinder. And let's rotate it 90 degrees in Z. Now let's move it over to where our skulls are.
Right, that will be applied with textures most likely.
Right. And let's kind of scale that out to the size of our wheel here. And we got way too much detail going on, so let's go to Inputs. And let's turn down the subdivision axes to about 13. Let's go to our front view here and scale down the sphere considerably to match up with our image planes on the side here. So something right along the lines of that. Now you'll notice we do have a little bit of the geometry's kind of shooting through our wheel here. So let's go to our Cut Faces tool and let's cut down the actual cylinder so we can get this ridge in our wheel here. So let's cut faces right there. And you'll notice we also have these ridges on our wheels, which is kind of cool. We're not going to match it precisely with the image planes because...
It's like an aggressive tread.
Yes, I know.
Going through mud and really cool stuff like that.
Exactly. So what we need to do is go ahead and select our face. And let's select all the middle faces we have here. So all of those. And let's go to Polygons, Tool Options. Have Keep Faces Together off. And let's go to Extrude Face. And let's extrude this guy out. Something like that.
Okay.
And scale them down just a bit as well.
Oh,
Not
awesome.
too much. We want them kind of tight, something like that.
Those are some cool knobby tires, man.
Yeah, it's very cool. I'm actually liking them. So that's looking good. Another thing we can go ahead and do is select all of the faces inside here. And let's not select those right there. And on these outside, let's go ahead and create this inner bevel that we have here along with where our skull would go. So let's go to our Extrude Face, and before I forget, let's go to Polygons, Tool Options, and have Keep Faces Together.
Good call, man. I just was so like, oh my gosh.
So let's go to Extrude Face, and let's go to our Scale tool, and let's stretch this all the way down to about there. And press the Extrude again. We'll push it in, and just kind of eyeball it, something like that. And we'll extrude again all the way down to our skull here. Extrude again, and just have it out a little bit, something like that.
That's awesome. Very nice.
So that's looking pretty cool.
And it was easy.
And very easy. And one quick thing, let's go to select our wheel here, go to Normals, let's go to Soften and Harden, and let's just reset our settings to 30 degrees, reapply that, and that's looking a whole lot better.
Right.
Now, we're going to mirror both of these wheels over in just a minute, but before we do that, let's go ahead and do the back wheel that we have, which is slightly bigger, so we're going to just redo it.
Yeah, for power. I mean,
Exactly.
Going through the mud. Having fun.
Oh, yeah.
Shooting things.
And stuff. So we have our wheel here. Let's turn this up. Again, we go to our polycylinder and just turn this down to 13. And so we have something like that. And let's move it over in the front view to match the image planes on the side, something like that. And we can do the exact same thing we did before. Go to our faces. Well, actually, before we do that, we have to use our Cut Faces tool. So let's select the Cut Faces tool. And let's cut right down the middle again. You know, actually, for this back wheel, let's go ahead and just leave it with one. We don't have that center ridge in there.
Okay.
So what we can do is go to our polygons and make sure that Keep Faces Together is off. So I just turned that off. And let's go to our Extrude Face. And we can extrude this guy again. About like that.
Kind of make it varied.
Right. A little bit of variance. It's kind of nice. So we can push this up a little bit and maybe extrude out something.
Dude, this so rocks.
It's a very cool wheel. So something like that. And let's select all the inside faces again like we did before so we can get this this little extrusion of the skull here. And go to our Polygons, Tool Options, turn on Keep Faces Together, and we can extrude this face. So let's go to Scale. Let me undo that. And we'll scale this down. Extrude again. Get the idea, extrude. Again, scale down. Get to about the skeleton, right about there. Extrude one more time, and extrude out a little bit. So we'll select that, go out of Object Mode, go to our Edit Polygons, Normals, and we'll just soften and harden it. And that's looking pretty cool.
It's looking very nice.
So definitely a little bit of problem with it's kind of going through our geometry here, which is kind of a bad thing.
We don't want that.
No, definitely not. So what we can do is select this, the faces that we have here, and make sure we don't select any faces we don't want. And we can move this up a little bit. Exactly. So make sure we don't have anything we don't want selected. And something...
Man, you're making this look easy, dude.
Well, it isn't really that hard. This is a very simple vehicle.
I just want everyone out there who's attempting this maybe their first time to understand it's going to take time and practice, just like anything.
It definitely takes time. Don't get depressed or anything because you can't get it the first time. It doesn't come naturally. So let's go over to here and let's kind of pull these back a little bit more. So let's select this. Actually, let's select him. Go to here. Now let's select our vertices. Let's go into here. And actually, these right here. Let's move them back a little bit. Just so they don't...
Can we have the
like
mud
that.
flaps on there with the girls and... No.
You know, I'm sorry, dude, but we just can't.
Dude, no fuzzy dice. At least we get a really cool gun.
We do get a really cool gun.
That's awesome.
And that should make you happy. At least a little bit. I hope.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we have our vehicle here. Now let's kind of fix the problems we have up front here. And like we did with the wheel back there, you notice we have these ridges. So to match the image planes a little bit, let's scale it down.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ridges kind of made our wheels quite a bit bigger. So let's go to our vertex mode and let's move these around a bit. Move up. And let's do this. Move this over and up and over and up and all that other cool stuff. So that's looking pretty good. Maybe we can even select our cylinder again, move them out just a little bit so that we can go in here and maybe push some of these faces that we have, some of these verts that we have here back. So I'll grab it one of these days. So, and we've grabbed all those, and we'll just push them back just a little bit more. Select our wheel, and we can push them back following the image plane. And you know what? Life is very good.
Very nice.
So let's select these two wheels, group them together with Control-G.
Make sure you name it.
Make sure we name it. We can call it left tires.
Yeah.
I can spell. Wow. And we can go to Edit, and we go to Duplicate. And we have -1 as we did before, and we will leave it at copy, press apply. We have the wheels over on this other side. We'll call this right tires.
I see your logic. I like it.
You like it? I'm glad.
I'm no Mr. Spock, but I see it.
You see it. That's a good thing.
That's good.
So it's definitely coming together. We got our wheels, bumper. The main thing that we have left is the turn in the back here, and then just a bit more tweaking, and that'll do it. So I guess let's kind of just zoom out a little bit on these so that we can just press F to frame that up. And I guess with that, that'll wrap up this lesson. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Alright, in this lesson, what we're going to be doing is adding a little bit more detail, but primarily we're going to be creating the turret at the back.
Right.
So this is going to be comprised of actually many pieces of geometry. So let's go ahead and start with our base, which is going to be a cylinder. And let's kind of push this out just a little bit, and let's put it down. Let's move it into position. We want it right about there, so let's stretch this down a little bit. And we'll move it up in the side view. That's looking pretty good.
Yeah, really good.
So now what we need is kind of a chair. Well, actually, let's first go into the input node and decrease the detail to like 12. We don't need a lot.
Right.
And let's create a cube. This is going to be our chair. If you can see in the back here, we have a chair. So let's move our wannabe chair to its correct position, which is right about there. If you look from the side view along with the top view, this is going to be our chair right here.
Okay.
So let's go into here, go into our vertex mode, and start editing this just a bit to get it
more chair-like.
More chair-like, exactly. We can go to our face, right faces, and let's select it.
Be the chair, Joel.
Be one with the chair. And let's go here, let's scale this down a little bit, and move it right up to about there. And you'll see one problem before I continue. I should go ahead, and if we look inside of here, it seems like the chair is actually pretty wide. So let's go ahead and select this, get our scale tool, and stretch this out a bit. So
yeah, good idea.
Something like that. And let's go into here, let's see, and select this top one. Now we're going to extrude out this top part, the neck, if you will. Extrude this, pull this down as well. I think I just made it a little bit too small. Something like that, yeah. And then extrude that again, and pull that out.
And one more time.
And we extrude one more time, as Derek just said.
Okay, I lied. One more time!
And one final true time.
It's a lot of nuts!
Exactly. So let's go into here and select these two faces. And let's extrude these two out so that it matches this the front view we have here. And, you know, that's looking
pretty good.
Pretty good. We're not going to add all the chair detail that we had in these front ones because it's not as necessary.
There's going to be a big weapon in front of it, too.
And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters, dude.
So let's move our chair to the right position here. Actually, what am I doing? Move this back. I meant to move my base that we have here over instead of our chair. So we get that so that it's resting on the correct location. Let's move it right about like that. And let's increase the radius just a little bit.
All right.
Something like that. I'm trying not to be too picky, but, you know, sometimes. Can't help it. And let's go ahead and create another cylinder. We'll move him up. Move him to right about there. Stretch him way down. And let's see, let's move him, stretch him up a little bit. And of course, this is going to be basically the bar that's going to hold up our cannon, or whatever this is.
It's the 724 XL 1000,
Oh, okay.
2.390120, something like that.
I was always wondering. And we can go ahead and change this to subdivision axes of, actually 6, excuse me. And that's looking pretty good. We're not going to see any detail in the front view, so kind of just disregard that for now. Now, finally, what we're going to do is create another cube. I know, too many cubes are kind of scary, but hey, we'll live. And we're going to use this cube to create our actual, our gun. So let's stretch this out, kind of watching the top viewport here. And let's move this back, stretch this up a little bit. Now let's take this face here. And we have this little compartment here, which we should scale out.
Now the compartment there is the battery that powers the weapon.
Ah.
As a concept artist, everything needs to have a function.
It only makes sense.
It only makes sense.
So kind of have a little small battery there. And let's go ahead and select this face, and let's extrude this out. If we look at our side view, stretch it out.
That's the targeting area.
That's the, sure.
The target, seriously. Yeah.
I believe you. So we can stretch this down a little bit. We can move this over and stretch this up a little bit. Actually, you know what? Let's kind of move this up just so we can see if I'm lining this up correctly. Something like that. Stretch it down. Now we can stretch it up, scale it down, and then move it over. Scale it some more. And right about there. And then we scale this guy, finally. And we have sort of an interesting design there, but you know, this was supposed to be scaled inward as well. So what we can do is go to the side here, and actually, my bad, the front, and select all of these here. Get our scale tool and stretch them in, something like that. And go to the topmost one and scale this one in as well. So something like that.
Nice.
It's a lot more interesting looking. Now that's definitely looking pretty good. Now we need the guns that actually.
The barrels.
The barrels of the gun, which are cool. And we'll create our cylinder. Another cylinder. I know, cylinders are kind of a necessity for these wonderful barrels. And we'll rotate them in X by 90 degrees. And we can stretch them out.
That is one big barrel.
That is a massive barrel.
There she blows!
Oh, yeah. And we can change this down to about 6 subdivision axes. Take our vertex, and let's scale this down to about something like that. Take this side, scale him down as well. We'll just move him forward. And for good measure, we're going to be stretching down this way as well. Actually, let's take them both.
The reason being stretched out like this, it's very stylistic. I'm a big fan of Jim Lee from Wildcats and X-Men, and he had a really cool character named Grifter, and I love those weapons that he used. Handguns, so.
They're very cool. So let's stretch this out. Plus we got 2 barrels here, so what we're going to be doing is taking this barrel and duplicating it to the other side.
Makes sense.
So that's looking pretty good. Now what we can do is take this face here, and we'll extrude him out pull him in. And just to make double sure, I just was curious. Yeah, keep faces together is on. Don't need it now, but just checking. And let's extrude him out. Just kind of our sight. Go to our vertex and move him over. And stretch him in as well. So, something like that. So that's looking pretty cool. Now what we can do is select this guy. Actually, let's get out of component mode and go back to object mode. Select him. And let's just press Shift D and move him over to the other side. And we've got our double barrels. Actually, before we do that, there's one thing I forgot is we should have a little bit of a barrel here.
Barrel? Yeah, definitely. So the projectile, or energy as it may be, can
somehow be shot out of the barrel.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's stretch. I'm sorry. Scale, extrude. You get the whole idea. Something like that. Kind of round it out, and then we can pull it back. So something like that. Not too much detail, but just enough to get actually get it looking good. So let's take that. Now we can Shift D and move this to the other side. And I'm actually liking the way that looks. If you look in the side view, you'll notice that we have some handlebars here. You can hardly tell, but they are there.
They're there. They have to be able to shoot the weapon somehow, correct?
Right. So let's go into our faces here. And you know what we can do? We can take our split polygon tool and right down the center. Actually, let's double-click our split polygon tool. We can stay snap to edge. And if we do that, you'll notice it snaps right to the center. And if we find it...
Really, really cool trick to know.
Oh, yes, very cool. So we can just cut it right down the middle, right that. And then we can take these two faces, select both of these. We can take the faces and go to Polygons, Tool Options, and yes, you guessed it, turn off Keep Faces Together. And go to our Extrude tool. And, oh, my bad. Just press F to home that back up. Get rid of our attribute editor. And let's scale these down a little bit. And way down in this axis. Something like that.
Yeah.
And what we can do is move these up as well. And you know what we can do? We can also... Actually, I'm liking the way that's looking quite a bit. We can move these over as well, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I believe so. Good idea.
Something like
Good
that.
Call.
And then we can extrude these out. So let's extrude these out. Then we can obviously do this together. And another thing that's kind of cool is a little trick. We can select the faces plus the edge on the bottom. And we can select the face on the bottom, the edge on the bottom there. Go to our Edit Polygons, and we can push Wedge Faces. And if we select it in our inputs, you can notice we can change the divisions. And we can change our wedge angle to something like, we want it to be 90. And maybe turn up the divisions by 1. That looks a little bit better.
Right.
And now we can extrude another face, and there we've got our little handles. So let's do one last extrude. And that's kind of looking pretty cool. One last thing maybe is to take these bottom faces and maybe move them down just a little bit more.
I like that. Good idea.
And actually, you know what? I know I'm getting picky here. But we can take this as well and have the handlebar actually a little bit skinnier. So if we take this and extrude this down, I'm actually liking that a whole lot more.
Yeah, me too.
So we can take that, stretch it down a little bit, extrude one more time, and something like that.
Nice.
And if you look back, that's looking a whole lot better. So we can go under here, and also our normals are a little bit messed up here, so we can go to Edit Polygons, Normals, we can soften, harden it, and actually that's looking pretty good. So I'm liking that quite a bit, but you'll notice that actually now we need to kind of put it in a group, so let's go ahead and do that before we all die. And let's go into here and select our cylinder and our chair, everything that we need.
The whole thing we just made.
Right. Control G to group it, and we could call this turret. And you'll notice that the pivot is all the way back into this origin. We don't want it there, so we can press Insert and press and hold V to snap to points exactly.
Right.
And if we middle mouse and kind of do a little gesture, we can go right to the center of the sphere here. Now if we switch to our rotate tool, you'll notice that we can get a nice little swivel going on.
Pan back, let them see it. It's like it's working. They do it. Exterminate, exterminate.
Exactly. However, you'll notice a little problem. If we rotate here, we're kind of going right through our vehicle here. So one thing we can do is kind of move it up a little bit And let's select our faces for our bottom surface here. And select these faces here. Use our extrude tool. But remember, turn on key faces together. Go to our extrude tool. Stretch these down to about, if we look at the bottom here, something kind of small. Something like that. Extrude one more time. And we can extrude down into the vehicle. Something like that. And now if we select this guy, press up to select the group, select our rotate tool, now you'll see that he can go around in every direction without hitting anything. Which is kind of cool.
Right.
So he's kind of now on a pedestal-ish thing, which is kind of cool. So one final thing we can do is go over to here and add a little bit of a stairway that we have here.
That's nice.
So let's go to create a cube, another cube, I know. And you know what? Actually, I changed my mind. Let's go into here. I know, I changed my mind a lot. We can go under here and directly extrude it from here.
Alright, save some time.
Save some time, save some faces, saves all sorts of stuff. So we can go into here, select our faces, select that face, extrude, and we're going to need to push that down a little bit. Get that right about there. Move that up. Extrude this guy to right about there. Get it lined up. And another thing we need to do is kind of select these edges and get them so that they're a little bit straighter. So let's use our scale in X just to straighten them out a little bit. Select the other side, do the same thing. So we scale it. So now it's nice and straight, very convenient. And if we look back here, actually that'll do fine. We can go ahead and select our faces now on the bottom, extrude one more time. So we extrude. It won't be the last, unfortunately. Haha. And what we can do is scale this way out. Scale. Extrude. Select face. And then if we look in the side view, actually we can't see it from the front view or the top view, so we're going to just have to kind of eyeball it. So we extrude this guy out at right about there. Extrude out one more time for the last step. And then we can select this face and scale him down. Let's move him down so we can see him. Extrude. Actually, so extrude to about there. And one final extrude for this last base piece. I know it's a lot, but it's well worth it. And we can kind of pull this guy out.
I mean, small detail like this, since we can afford it, it's a very powerful engine, and we're not overboard on polys, faces, anything like that. This adds a lot to it. Gives it a lot of character.
So let's kind of select this guy, kind of just move this back a little bit. I think I just selected a lot of faces that I didn't want to select. Yes, I did. Just kind of move that back a little bit. So that's actually looking pretty darn good. And let's go into our faces here. I know. We can go select this, go to our edit polygons, normals, and we can soften that up a little bit. So, yeah, that's looking a whole lot better. So I guess with that, that kind of shows how to create the turret. So I guess, wouldn't you say that wraps up this lesson?
I think it does.
So with that really does. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Alright, in this final lesson, we're going to be tweaking out our model, just to make sure everything is clean and in place.
Right.
So, first thing we're going to need to do is, as you can see, of course, this is our instance on the other side. Let's delete that and actually merge them. But you'll notice we have a little bit of a problem here. It's not conforming to the rest of the geometry.
Someone moved the axis off the origin.
It could have been someone messing with my file, but it's probably not. It's probably me making a mistake. So, to fix this, let's select all of those vertices. Let's go to our Move tool. And remember, we have Retain Component Spacing. We want that off, unchecked. And then we can...
World space.
And we want it in world space. And then what we want to do is select our axis to move, hold down X, and... what we want to do is select them. Yes, I'll get this right sooner or later. And just... hold down X and middle mouse button and do a little gesture, and now they're all down right on the X-axis, which is nice.
Yeah, they're down with it.
They're down. But before we actually finish this off, let's make sure everything else is right before we actually mirror it over. So just to make sure everything's good. Let's see. Oh, we do have a little problem here with the gun. So let's move these guys down. So let's move this down so they're connected. And another thing is we do kind of want some miniguns, you know, in the front.
In the game, we don't want the guy in the back having all the fun.
Right. That'd just be wrong.
The driver needs to be able to shoot people, too. It's his God-given right.
It is. So we should do that. So right about here, we can create a little minigun, if you will. So let's take this guy and...
I should call him my minigun.
That's a good idea. So let's extrude face, and let's kind of stretch it down a little bit. And again, we're going to use that technique to make it flat. So we're going to switch to global, and we're going to squeeze it down, something like that. We're going to make it be able to rotate on a flat plane, but not in up and down, basically. Okay. So what we're going to do is go over to here and select our edge, and use that same trick to scale it to make sure it's straight. So actually, let's go into our... Yeah, that's actually looking fairly good there. So let's go into our faces, and now let's stretch this down just a little bit more, and then we're going to create a little cylinder for our base so it can rotate around. So let's go over to here, go over to here.
Again, separate piece of geometry, right?
Yeah, separate piece of geometry. And it's going to be really small, so it doesn't have to be big at all. We can put that down right there.
How about all that detail, my friend? Do we need it?
No, we don't. But before we worry about that, let's actually just kind of flatten this out a little bit more. It seems our face isn't completely flat, and it wasn't. So let's kind of flatten that out. That's looking a lot better. Now we can select our cylinder, and let's make Derek happy by going into here and turning this down to, say, 7.
All right. Derek is happy.
Derek is happy. So let's go into here, and what we're going to do is create a very simple minigun. So what we can do is create another cylinder. I know, too many cylinders may be a bad thing. No, it's not. It's just a lot of miniguns. Miniguns are cool. So let's put this to about right there. Scale it all the way down. And it's going to be a small minigun. I mean, it's not going to be able to blow up a tank. That's not the idea of mini...
We want to be able to mow down people as they run and flee in terror.
Exactly.
It took you a second. I'm visualizing. Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Definitely.
So let's kind of put the minigun right in the center there. So it's going to be rotating around that axis, which is kind of cool. And, you know, that's a little bit, maybe that's a little bit too small. So let's kind of go into here and scale this up just a bit. And, of course, select him, scale him up a bit. And then take him, scale him up a bit, something like that. Move him up a little bit, just a little bit too much. Alright, so something like that. I don't want to create too much detail on this guy, so we'll just put this down to not 63, 6. And let's go down to face mode, and let's just create a little bit of detail. Again, I don't want to overdo it on this because it's a simple minigun. So let's extrude a face, make it a little bit bigger, extrude him out. Just kind of something that would be interesting. So scale it down a little bit, and then shoot that out. So something like that. Then we can finally extrude again, pull that in, and then something like that. If we zoom in, we can look at it better. And then we can pull this all the way back.
Nice.
So something like that. So that's going to be a pretty interesting minigun.
Yeah, I like it. I like the swivel action.
Yeah, that will be kind of cool. Of course, it will be limited because we don't want it to be shooting its own fender, but we'll worry about that when we get to actual coding. So that's looking pretty good. Let's see. Also, we're going to add a steering wheel, but that's going to be after we mirror it over.
Right.
Another thing we should do before we do all this, though, is... Well, actually, let's go ahead and just mirror it over. What should I say? Let's go over in here, and let's go under polygons, and let's just say mirror geometry. As you can see, it's nice and smooth all the way around, which is very nice. And let's see, right here, that's looking good. Everything's looking really, really good. Now we need to start naming our objects. Let's get back into object mode. You'll see we have all these groups, all these different things, and I'm kind of confusing. So let's go ahead and start naming these. We'll call this Dune Buggy. Notice there's a little smoothing problem, so also let's go into normals, and let's go into here, and let's change this to 20, and we'll soften harden it, and you know, that's looking a whole lot better, so I'm happy with that.
I'm happy.
And the left bar group, that's looking good. We're going to parent all of this to the dune buggy just to kind of clean things up a bit. So we'll parent that into there. You'll notice we have these two cylinders. They don't need to be named. We can call this bar 1, and the back bar was bar 2. And the left bar group, we'll just call this right bar group. And
again, it's just very important to name all your pieces of geometry.
Right.
Suppose you have a huge scene up there, and you're light linking for some whatever reason, and you need to find a specific object.
Right.
And it's not named, but it's such a pain in the bottom.
Yes, it definitely is. So we're continuing to kind of just put everything grouped in together. So if we move our dune buggy, you'll notice pretty much everything is moving along.
Nice.
So let's kind of delete these two empty groups. We have our left tires, so we'll move that, parent that to our dune buggy. We have our turret, so we'll put that in there as well. And we have this is our minigun, so let's select these two, group them together, and call this left minigun.
About its pivot point.
Right now we want to keep that there so that we can go under our duplicate.
Awesome idea.
And duplicate it over. Now we can go ahead and edit our pivot point for these guys, so we can say pivot point to right there. For this one, pivot point to right there. So
show how it works. Show them how it works.
Show them how it works. Okay, so we can just kind of mow down people, which will be cool.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So this one is going to be the right minigun, so let's rename that right minigun. And we'll parent these two in there as well. So let's put that in there. So now if we select our dune buggy, everything comes along for the ride, which is very
literally.
Yes, literally. So let's select our, let's see, what do we want to select? We'll select our main dune buggy, and let's do some editing so that we can add a steering wheel to it. So let's go back into our 4 view, and it's getting kind of confusing, but it's okay. We can come in here, just do a little bit more tweaking. I just noticed this is not matching up with the image plane perfectly. I couldn't help it, so I'm going in there just doing a little bit of editing. You know, actually, I'm just going to leave it as just a little bit smoother. So let's just undo that. I'm kind of liking that, so I'll just leave it, I guess. And right here we have our steering wheel. That's going to be on the left side because we are in America. So let's go into here, and let's select this face here. Zoom up on it, and let's go into our outliner real quick, and let's get rid of all of this, hide all of this data. So we can go into hide selection, just so we have our card to play with. So let's go into here, and let's extrude this face out. Let's go back into our 4 view so we can see what we're doing. And let's see, we can scale this all the way down. This does not need to be a complicated piece of geometry or anything.
Not at all.
It needs to be very simple, in fact.
The steering wheel doesn't really work.
No. So, well, theoretically, I guess it does.
In theory, yes.
So we shouldn't make everyone that wants it to work feel bad.
Can we have one of those cool horns? The Dukes of Hazzard horn?
No.
No? Okay.
I'm sorry. So we can go in here and try to put this in the center here, kind of lining it up with our steering wheel, so right about there. So looking pretty good. Now we can go ahead and add another cylinder. Hope you all aren't tired of this cylinder yet. And go up to here, go to our here, kind of squish the height down just a little bit. And let's see, rotate this a little bit. Get it looking fairly nice. And you know what, that's a little bit too big, so let's kind of scale it down a little bit. Continue trying to keep the height. And let's move it over so that it centers up right about there. And let's move it down so that it actually, let's try to keep it right about there, and we'll start editing this geometry back to our vertice.
Alright.
And we can move it, select. So we have him selected. We're going to push him through here, something like that.
Nice.
So it's very, very simple. It's nothing wonderful at all.
Nice. It's nice. It's a steering wheel.
It is a steering wheel, and it's good to have a steering wheel. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to move around, theoretically. So we've got a simple steering wheel going on there. It matches our image plane, so that's all good. And it pretty much matches in this view as well. We can go ahead and do it, but I'm kind of just basing it off eye right now, and I'm liking it. So that's looking good. Let's go back into our outliner, and let's select all of these, go back to display, and we'll show selection. And our cylinder, we'll just call this, let's see, steering wheel. I know, very original.
Yeah, ooh.
So let's go into here.
It's
And
so mysterious.
I know. So that's looking pretty good.
Awesome.
And we can go into our normals, and let's soften harden them just one last time, just to make it look really, really good. And let me see. It seems that with that, that's going to wrap up our discussion on how to create this vehicle. So what do you think?
I think it's great.
We definitely covered a lot of material. It's not exactly a difficult vehicle to make, but there is a lot of things that you have to do. And it's kind of cool. So with that, that's going to wrap up this lesson.
I look forward to playing these guys on the net.
Yes, it will be very fun.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's our Jeep.
Oh, yeah.
Give it back. It's mine.
Yep, so with that...
Yeah, I know. Wrap it up, Derek.
So with that, that's going to wrap up this lesson. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, bye.